So we've talked before about getting your gardens ready for spring and the summer, but what about putting your garden to bed and maybe planting some things to make your garden look nice during the winter, but also getting ready for spring next year? Are there any books you can recommend?
Anything by Monty Don. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of listeners out there that watch him regularly on a Friday night. I know I do. He is so smooth, isn't he? It's a wonder, he's got such curly hair and yet he's such a smoothie. And he makes it all look so easy. So what he was doing this last Friday, he was attending to his climbing roses. And really, if you have climbing roses, you need to sort of give them a tidy up and a prune so that they are in their best condition to be able to climb up evenly against your fence or your wall or whatever you've got them climbing up against. And you need to prune them and have their main leading branches cut off all the old bits and some of the tiny thin shoots, and then you've got your main leaders going up against your fence or your wall. So you should be doing some pruning. And Monty Don's a great one for that. The other one is obviously his great friend Carol Klein, and she's a great gardener. And we have various books that Carol has got. One of which is Grow Your Own Veg. I mean, and that will take you right the way through the gardening year. So there's plenty of things about preparing your vegetable plots for winter crops. So so Carol Klein's quite good.
So just not just gardens then, that would apply to allotments as well.
We have the Haynes Manual. Now, not only do the Haynes books do or write about their cars, they do other things, and they have one out called the Allotment Manual, and that's all about growing your own. It's a complete step-by-step guide. So if you've just bought your first allotment, and you need to know really how to start and where to start. It shows various charts and whatever how you get started, and obviously discovering your soil type. Very important to discover your soil type, see what will grow and won't grow, and you have little it's like little test tubes. The alchemy of gardening is amazing.
I was thinking, that just recently I was trying to get to grips with the wisteria that's grown at the front of my house, and it had become quite a mess. So I got up there on a ladder and I was pruning it, and we do actually have a book, because when you prune something there are ways to do it. You can't just lop it straight down or you might end up killing it. So we've got a book here, How to Prune, Techniques and Tips for Every Plant and Season by John Cushney. And of course, once you've chopped something down, you need to dispose of it. So if you've got the space, it's really great to try and get a compost heap going, because then you will actually get free mulch and compost for your garden. And the winter's a great time for having a good clear out. And once you've made the space, you can then start thinking about underplanting with bulbs and things like that. But the nice thing about winter is the leaves come off and you're actually there. You can see the structure of the plant and you can have a really good go at pruning, clearing everything out, making a bit more space and creating some compost. And we've got a book here, How to Make and Use Organic Compost to Transform Your Garden by Claire Foster. So yeah, it's really, it costs so much money now to recycle stuff. Having a go at making a compost heap is a great thing to try and do, and it's not expensive. The winter's also a really good time to restructure a garden. And I know when I first started gardening, a book that I thought was absolutely brilliant was a book called Right Plant, Right Place by Nicola Ferguson. Because everybody has a little problem. Every garden has its own little microclimates. And you get your sort of wet areas, dry areas. And that is a brilliant book for finding the right plant. And we've got one at the library called What Plant Where, which is an encyclopedia. It's just sort of helping you that if you've got a really dark area or a really hot area, what are the best plants? Because sometimes you can plant something that just dies and you think, why did that happen? Reason being, it's just not in the right place. But another good way of when you restructure a garden, you don't know what's growing, have a look around you in other people's gardens. If it's doing well in theirs, it will do well in yours. Nobody wants to waste money on beautiful plants and find that they just die. So I thoroughly recommend these two books if you're looking to restructure your garden. They're brilliant.
We talked before You had a small holding, and we talked about that. Is there much going on your small holding at the moment this time of year?
Yes, we're about to put our rams back with our ewes again, so the cycle has started, and this is the time that the lambs would go off, the lambs that would go off for me, and also my breeding animals would be sold off to other farmers that want the type of sheep that I've got. We've got Ryland sheep, and they're great wool sheep, and that's the other thing, you can put wool on the compost heap. Everything has its cycle, and autumn time is the time for the animals to be put back into lamb, ready to lamb in the spring, because any animals that you put in now will be lambing in March, and the traditional time for farmers is, they say, bonfire night, so November the 5th, if you put your sheep to the top, then they will be born at the beginning of April, so that's the rule of thumb for that.
Of course, we're into autumn now, and summer seems a fair way away now. But I know you were doing a children's reading challenge over the summer. How did that work?
It works very, very well, and it's obviously a great reading initiative for families to bring in their children. During the 6-week summer holiday period, they have to read 6 books in 6 weeks, and as they go through the little reading course, they collect stickers and little prizes, and of course, right at the very end on their 6th book, they will receive their certificate. On the whole, it did very, very well. We had sort of other competitions as well. We were running. We did a search. It was all based on the Beano comic. So we've got Dennis the Menace out there. So we ordered in quite a few sort of Dennis the Menace books and light books. Really for the summer reading challenge, and they went out, like stink, to be honest, and they're still not back, most of them, because they're so enjoyed. It fills a gap really, and families do come in during the summer. And reading is important. It's not just when children are at school. It's got to be 24/7, 350. 2 days of the year, really. So it's ongoing, but it is great for families during the summertime, and it's a good reading initiative to sort of for families and children to sort of encourage one another. So it went very well indeed, and actually most of our stock, it's amazing. Our shelves were empty, particularly in the junior library. They were just empty. So that's a testament to really how successful it does encourage families to come in and get reading. A child doesn't necessarily have to read. A parent can read to a child, and that still counts. It doesn't matter. It's about sharing books, isn't it, and enjoying the story and making new discoveries of new authors as well. So, it's a good time. It's a wholesome time, I think.
Now, I know my son, he's just turned 9, and he's a bit of a reluctant reader just lately. Do you know if you had more girls than boys come for the reading challenge?
I think it's quite evenly balanced, really. We always try and run competitions, sort of that thread in between the reading, I suppose you could say there probably are more girl readers than boy readers, but I think really it is quite evenly balanced. Boys are notoriously reluctant readers. It's been like that since Methuselah was a boy, really, and then all of a sudden they start picking up again, But it's just by being in the library, just by being amongst books and whatever, and just being able to pick something up, that's really all we ask. Parents have to really sort of be the people that really sort of try and encourage their children as well. We can only do so much, and we try and have a good all-round reading stock sort of downstairs, and I think we here at Redhill are very, very lucky in our stock for children and young adults as well. We have a great teenage section down there. So, and of course, it's not just about reading. They can listen to a book. We've got a great selection of talking books down there, all top books, so they don't have to read a book. They can actually lie in bed and listen to a story, or maybe if they're on a car journey, they can put that on. You know, so it's not just about reading; it's about listening. You know, it's and sharing the whole thing. So it's a good thing. So yeah.
My son was a reluctant reader, and he did really love the audiobooks. And although I know that we push for reading and say it's important, but listening to the books really did expose him to so many different writers. And eventually he'd say, "Oh, can I have the next audiobook?" And I say, "Well, they've only actually got the book." And he'd say, "Oh, well, get that for me." And he started reading from listening to the audiobooks and for learning about which writers he actually really liked, So it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I guess, you don't have to be blind or visually impaired to listen to an audio book. Like you said, it can be fun, not just reading, but just listening to it as well. And especially, as you say, on a car journey. We've been listening to the Harry Potter series, and my son absolutely loves listening to that.
Yeah, well, I think Harry Potter ticks all boxes, doesn't it? It's not just for children. He's for grown-ups too. He's for adults too. And yeah, you're just whisked away on that broomstick, aren't you? And on an adventure. And it's a great series of books. Very popular. I just wish she'd should have carried it on. And I think she might. I just think she might in a few years pick it up again and carry on from where Harry, was a family man at the station. So, we keep our fingers crossed there. But of course, J.K. Rowling writes adult books as well, and they are going out very, very popular at the moment. Not just her children's books, but obviously her adult books as well. So, she's very, very lucky. She's caught on to something very special there.
She has indeed.
I think going back to the audiobooks is it's a good way to get them in. If they're looking forward to listening to the next part of the story, then they really want to go to bed. And, it just makes it easier to get them into bed and also wind down. It's a really nice way of winding down. They're not looking at a screen. They're just lying and listening. And I think it is a nice thing to do. And parents can still read to their children. It doesn't matter how old they are. And it's lovely to share a book as well.
So we talked about the summer, and of course we've got half term just around the corner and Halloween. Is the library doing anything for this?
We have things in our cauldron.
Ooh.
We have things.
You're bubbling away.
We have things in our cauldron that we are playing around with, and I think we're going to be doing at half term. It's not a spooky thing, but we're doing a sort of a harvesty search. So that's where they have to find the fruits, and that's over the half-term week coming up. So they can come in there and try and find the 10 fruits. So they can pick up a form from the information desk and run around the library, create havoc, please, because that's what we like. So that's going to be, and there'll be a small prize. There'll be one winner, and probably at the end of November we'll be pulling a name from a hat for that. We've got various things going on for adults, actually. We have a dear colleague of ours. Her name is Ghazala Hyatt. She has put together 2 very special things for grown-ups. Now, the first one is it's a weekly course on learning English. So if English isn't your first language, you can come in and learn English, and it's every Tuesday. I think it is every Tuesday. 10:30, they can come in and join the Learning the English Language course. It's free. You can come in and sit, and there's about 8 or 9 group members at the moment so far. But just to get that out there, that if English isn't your first language and you want to improve your English, we are running this here in Redhill Library, so do come to our information desk and sign up for that. You do need to sign up so that obviously we know your name and give your contact details. So there's that going on. And then every first Wednesday of the month, we have a coffee morning for our general public. We have a coffee morning, and it's always with a speaker. Now, this last one that we did this month, we had the dementia people coming in talking about dementia awareness. There were about 20-odd people that actually attended. It is chargeable. I think there's an admission. Oh, no, it's free. It's free. I see here on the thing it's actually free, so you can come in and have a speaker speak to you. This next one, which is going to be on Wednesday the 7th of November, so it's always the first Wednesday, is we have the British Legion. We have the Royal British Legion coming in to talk about Remembrance Day, and the speaker is Peter Wakeham, a member of the British Legion, obviously talking about the 100-year centenary of the end of the First World War. So, and of course, if you want to come to that, you're more than welcome. And if you have any First World War artefacts, whether it's something, a family member has passed down, or some documentation, or even photographs, that they would love you to bring that in as well, because, to be able to share that, with other people is really, really nice, just to say thank you, to all those soldiers that served. Our December one's a bit special. Now, our December one is being held on the 5th of December, Wednesday the 5th of December, at the Harlequin Theatre, which is just opposite us. They're actually allowing us in there to create havoc, because we're having a grand Christmas party. And we want everyone to come. There'll be singing, there'll be a bit of stand-up, eating cake and drinking, I think, involved, So please come to that, and you'll get to meet us all, hopefully, because I think we're all going to have a little stint over there with our public. And I think there'll be some music playing and some singing, so you'll get to see us in a different hat, really. So please come to that. So we have that going on now. Another thing, going back to the First World War, we've organised with the Surrey History Centre at Woking. They're going to be bringing in the middle 2 weeks of November. A display of local photographs and artefacts, I think, that will be here for the middle 2 weeks for the public to come in and have a look at. So that should be quite an interesting thing for everyone to enjoy, really. So it's going to be all local pictures to Redhill and Reigate, all dealing with the end of the First World War.
So Halloween's just around the corner, and are the old classics, the old thrillers, are they still going out from the shelves?
Actually, I had a chap yesterday that wanted to come in, and he wanted Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that went off the shelf. And then 20 minutes later, somebody else came in and wanted Bram Stoker's Dracula. So people start getting in the mood, and so yes, certainly the classics, and obviously the woman in black. Is that the Woman in Black? That was another one that does very, very well. But there's loads, all the Stephen King books, It and The Shining and things like that. Yeah, people like the mood, don't they? They like to set the mood. And there are people out there that are absolutely, it's their time of year. You know what I mean? You get people that, they're mad on Christmas, and they just put their Christmas tree up end of August, And I know someone that does that, and I just don't get it. And then takes it down the end of February. It's just, it's a very long Christmas. But and then there are people that do Halloween, and they go the whole hog. And I know somebody who actually dyes her hair purple for those few weeks over Halloween. They just love it, don't they? But
there are some people that don't like Halloween, so we have to be careful how we play it.
Yeah.
So we will definitely have a display of sort of thriller type books. We do also have some Halloweeny type books on the catalogue. I'm talking about cooking and parties and things like that. But they're not like they used to be. They're far and few between. So you have to look at the catalogue. We can always have a look, can't we, and see what's available. And we can certainly request stuff in, but you need to sort of get in quick, because everybody will be after the same things.
So don't expect to come in on the 31st of October and find them.
Well, no, I mean, but you know, there's always the internet anyway. They
Yeah.
can look these sort of things up, you know, on how to make a pumpkin pie or how to bob an apple or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's there's the internet's a great thing, really. But yeah, we have limited stock on Halloweeny books, sort of like the craft books, and like Dawn said, the cooking books, you know. But yeah, they're here. They're here, but they do go out pretty quickly because a lot of people have Halloween parties. You know, everybody really does get and throws themselves into the swing of things. You know, which is great. And of course, it's running in alongside with November the 5th and Guy Fawkes Night as well, you know, so it's sort of two together, you know. A lot of people merge. I know that, you know, my birthday's the beginning of November, and I used to have either a Halloween party or I used to have a firework party, and I used to alternate it when I was a child, and as to whatever, you know, however, you know, whatever it was, but it's a great party time, I think, really. Great party season, you know.
I think it's because the clocks go back and it gets so dark, doesn't it? And it's trying to create a little bit of light in the darkness and a bit of fun. You know, just as it starts to get quite gloomy and cold and everybody's looking to sort of just have a little bit of fun, aren't they?
Yeah, need some colour in their lives, you know. No better way than to have a Halloween party or a firework party, bonfire night party.
Tina and Dawn, once again, thank you very much.